Hey guys, it's Andrea from the blog Pine and Prospect Home. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold today, so I hope you'll forgive me for my voice. I hope it's not too distracting today. We still have lots of snow outside, but March is right around the corner, and whenever we jump from February to March, I am ready to decorate for spring. So today I thought I would talk about faux stems throughout my home, how I use them, some tips for using them, and also where I find my favorite faux stems. Now, I love using faux greenery throughout my home for a lot of different reasons. First of all, I personally feel like a pop of greenery, no matter what time of year it is, adds warmth and life to a space. If you are decorating an area of your home and you feel like something's missing, maybe it feels a little bit cold, maybe it feels like it's missing some life, try adding some greenery in that area, whether real or fake, like we're talking about today. A pop of greenery can really help to complete a space that you're decorating. So today we're talking about faux stems and flowers. And let me start off by saying that I am not against real flowers. I love real flowers. In fact, I have all types of flowers planted all around our property. I have hydrangea bushes. I love to use catmint. It's so easy and spreads so nicely. I love using different forms of lavender. I love the lilac bush that we have next to our home as well. I love bringing fresh lilacs into the home when that lilac bush blooms. So I'm not against real flowers. So I live in an area that we just don't have a lot of fresh flowers available to us. We're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I don't have a grocery store even with a huge variety of fresh flowers. And even if I did have fresh flowers available to me, I'm not sure that it would be something that I'd want to spend my money on every single week. I know there are ways to make fresh flowers last longer, and I've used those techniques whenever I do happen to get flowers for Valentine's Day or for my anniversary. But as a general rule, fresh flowers, unless you're getting them free from your yard, they can be expensive. And so over the years, I've sort of tried to learn which faux stems look the most real and how I can use them in my home so that they bring a lot of life to the space that I'm decorating. The first thing that I would tell you to look for when you're purchasing faux flowers or stems is to check the petals and the leaves and make sure the edges of your petals aren't frayed. You shouldn't see little bits of fabric fraying off the ends of your petals. That's a dead giveaway that you are using fakes. So I really try to make sure that my flowers are high quality. Even looking at some of these here, they have some fraying. And if that does happen, it's okay. Sometimes I'll come through with scissors and sort of trim some of those frayed edges. Another thing that I would tell you to look for when you're purchasing faux stems and flowers is to look for leaves and petals that have a range in color or that vary in color. When you look at a real flower, it's usually, in most cases, not just one color. This little faux carnation I'm holding, for example, you can see how it has a yellow color near the base of the petal, which to me makes it look so much more real. Another thing that I would tell you to do is to avoid flowers or stems that are too waxy or too shiny. When your stem is too shiny, it's just going to look like plastic, and we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. So when I purchased stems, I looked for a softer, more matte type finish rather than a shiny or waxy one. I also look for faux stems and flowers that have a variety of leaf and petal sizes. I actually have some greenery here, and you can see how the leaves get really small near the end, but they're wider at the base. And that just makes it look more lifelike. It makes it look more real, just as if you went and you snipped it from the yard. I especially love to look for flowers and stems that have a nubby stem. So what I mean by that, these flowers are some of my favorites. And you can see how textured the stem is. you have those little leaf scars and nodes and little bumps and buds that are coming up. And I just love how that makes the stem look more realistic rather than just one flat, smooth stem. I actually just purchased these little stems at Target, and this is another great example. You have a smaller leaf at the top, larger leaves around here, and then you've got that nubby textured stem that just makes it look so real to me. You also have a variety in color. The stem sort of changes color as it goes from the base here up to the leaf. So this to me looked realistic. I loved it. And so I actually grabbed quite a few of these. They had shorter ones and they also had some longer ones as well that I'm actually using behind me on my table right now. So I'm actually not the type to create a lot of formal flower arrangements unless I'm doing maybe a tablescape. I might put together a flower arrangement. But for the most part, I sort of love that English country cottage feel for my home, almost as if I went out, you know, into my gardens and just picked some flowers fresh and threw them into a basket. So that's more the look that I kind of go for in my home. So I don't generally do a lot of arranging. If I do create some type of arrangement with flowers, I generally use one type of flower, maybe two, but usually it's just one. And then I'll add some stems with leaves for filler. So for example, I have some beautiful peonies here that I believe I purchased at Walmart actually, but I don't think they carry them anymore which is a bummer because they are beautiful flowers. I was very impressed. So my great-grandmother, I should say, worked for a florist, and she always taught my grandma to use odd numbers when working with flowers. If I were going to put together a little flower arrangement with peonies, I might grab 3 of them, just like this. And then in order to make it look more full, I might take some of this beautiful eucalyptus and just add that to my arrangement. Again, I would stick with an odd number, so I might add 2 more eucalyptus stems, but that's generally what I do when I'm creating arrangements for my home. And another thing that I want you to keep in mind as well, think outside the box when you're adding greenery to your home. You don't always have to stick flowers into a clear vase meant for flowers. You can use all kinds of things. One of my favorite ways to create that rustic cottage feel is to put flowers and stems in things like baskets. I've also used metal pails and buckets. This is an old minnow bucket that I found at the thrift store, and it is a beautiful rustic vessel for holding flowers or stems. I have filled dough bowls with flowers before over above my corner cabinet. I love using things like ironstone pitchers or maybe some of my Faltzcraft pieces that I talked about in a video last week. So you can think outside the box when it comes to arranging flowers around your home. Another thing to keep in mind when you're purchasing stems or flowers from the store is to make sure that you sort of fluff your branches. So when these faux stems are delivered to the stores, they are packed tight inside of a box. They're usually very flat. And so one of the first things I do when I bring stems home is I just sort of separate all of the branches and fluff them up just to give them a little bit more life. I mean, flowers don't grow perfectly straight in my garden. I don't know about yours. And so I like them to look more wild and sort of, you know, free-spirited, I guess. And so I will usually bend and curve, even my branch itself sometimes. I'll bend it a little bit and give it some curve so it's not all perfectly straight up and down. So let's get to the question that I'm asked probably the most in terms of my faux stems and flowers, and that is my sources. Where do I find these? Where do I shop? And honestly guys, the answer is everywhere. I have found beautiful faux stems everywhere. I mentioned Walmart a little while ago. In my opinion, Walmart has really stepped up its game. I also mentioned Target. Target has a beautiful variety right now, especially the flowers by the Hearth and Hand line. These gorgeous stems that are probably my favorite stem to use in the spring and summer are from Hobby Lobby. And I've also shopped for stems at Joann Fabrics. I've honestly seen great options everywhere. Just recently I visited IKEA, and I plan on sharing my finds with you. But IKEA also has a great range of faux stems and flowers that look very real. These little carnations are actually from there. They were 99 cents each. And I am definitely all about low budget decorating, so what I like to do is take advantage of those stores that have sales. Hobby Lobby, for example, will have 50% off all flowers from time to time, and of course you can always use their 40% off coupon. I did actually purchase these flowers at full price. They were at Marshall's, and these tulips were $9.99 for the bundle, which for me is a little bit pricey, but they are so realistic. The touch, the feel, they are so beautiful, and everyone that comes over asks me if they are real. Another place that you can look for fall flowers if you're on a budget is thrift stores. I have actually found some great flowers at thrift stores over the years. This plant right here was actually a thrift store find, and it looks so lifelike. The eucalyptus that is in the baskets above my chair in the corner in my living room, I found this huge box of that eucalyptus at a garage sale, and the lady gave all of it to me for $1. $1. Alright, well I hope this video was a help to you today. Again, I'm sorry about my voice. I hope it wasn't a huge distraction. But I think faux stems and flowers are a great option for anyone that is trying to decorate on a lower budget. Maybe you can't afford real flowers each week, or maybe you're ready to decorate for spring but you still have snow outside and fresh flowers aren't available to you out in your yard. I can relate to that. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you're new to my channel, please be sure and hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching.